started having premonitions that I was going to restore an 18th century tavern that was in pristine shape, and I saw it decades before we actually found the house. And I started telling my husband, I see this old colonial tavern down a tree-lined drive on a dirt road that was the main thoroughfare in the 1700s but got diverted by a more modern road. It has a winding staircase and raised paneled ends. And he looked at me and he said, you believe in Santa Claus? What are you talking about? There's no unrestored tavern in America in this kind of pristine setting. So my friend Steve Galati, who was a real estate agent at the time, says to me, I found your house, Jamie, but this is crazy because the state, the county, and the federal historical societies had passed over this house when they did their field survey of the pre-revolutionary houses because it looked like a modern house. The tax register said it was from the 1940s. Well, when you walk in the front door, you have this stained glass door, a new door.
Right here?
This was here, a stained glass door. Now this is a tavern door that I brought in from Taunton, Rhode Island. And the door fit exactly. A year later I was digging. Okay, I put these hinges on the door because the door didn't come with hinges, but it felt like this was right. Then a year later I'm digging in the ground and I find. I know.
Look at that.
I know. I have this thing with this period where I just know what was here.
Is that right?
Yeah, you'll wait till you see. It'll freak you out. This wall I recreated using 18th century hand planes and T-head nails. I collect the nails from the 1700s one by one. Then the lighting device, all these are 18th century, handmade tin sconces, which I glued low voltage wiring to.
Oh, wow.
So that it's always lit, no light switches to mar the walls. Now this was really wild. Okay, so we didn't even know there was a fireplace because the hearth was hidden by the floorboards.
Yeah.
And the firebox was hidden by the sheetrock. So when we ripped it out, we found this pre-Rumford fireplace. Rumford being, a mid-18th century style. He found a way to be more efficient with his fireboxes, making them narrower and less wide. So this is pre-revolutionary, this fireplace. But what we found is amazing. I looked at these H hinges in the cupboard. I opened it up, and inside was particle board. So when I saw the particle board, I said, that's modern. What's behind it? I ripped the particle board out, and I found there was another fireplace behind this one that had a big wooden lintel. So that's Pilgrim century, like those old Dutch fireplaces. Mm-hmm. It was behind this. So if this is pre-revolutionary, that fireplace was Pilgrim century. So this was probably a one-room tavern. And in fact, I forgot to tell you, this is so important. This road is called the Dover Turnpike. In the 1700s, it was the main thoroughfare from Poughkeepsie to Dover. The drovers took their cattle on this road. And it was recorded that there were 3 taverns on this road, neighborhood taverns, but nobody knew what happened to the third one. It was this place.
Oh, wow.
It was lost.
Yeah.
So it was probably a one-room tavern in the Pilgrim century. And then maybe the fireplace smoked, so they built this in front of it. Mm-hmm. Now, I reproduced the everything the way it would have been. I hand planed the shelves and the shelf supports, but I screwed it in so that anybody who wants to see the original can get at it. The curator of Historic Deerfield knows my restorations. He said, this is the best restored tavern in America because it's crazy OCD. I'm a crazy shrink. So here is another example of the Pilgrim century feature. You see the floorboard, how wide it is?
Yeah.
It's not pine, it's oak. So think about, we ran out of oak and the virgin oak forests pretty much at the end of the 1600s. So that gives you a clue as to how old the floors are, right? So when we took the sheetrock off here, what did we see? Sheathed walls. Now that's another Pilgrim century feature as well, because remember, the Pilgrims made board walls. Then by the mid-1700s, or maybe even the early 1700s, they were doing wainscoting. Then by the late 1700s, it was chair rail. Mm-hmm. So it helps you date.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
Now, the corner fireplace, I forgot to mention about the other fireplace, and this one too, they were bricked in. So we had to remove brick by brick by brick to expose the firebox again.
So there was just a wall of brick here?
No, they filled the hole with brick
Oh, okay.
and rubbles to stop the draft.
Yeah, sure.
It was parged, which was a feature that they would often do to cover the brick, to dress the brick. And I didn't want to make new parging, so it looks a little mangy, but I like it that way. Now you can also see, this is fun, the graffiti. You know, a tavern, people were carving their initials, just like we do graffiti now on the bathroom wall.
Sure, yeah.
Isn't that fun? So much fun, right? Now before it gets dark, let me show you this. This was another one of those glass doors. So I brought in an Indian door, which fit. And then in the first year, this was brambles up to the house. The people who lived here were very paranoid. So first cleared the brambles and put the patio. And then the next year I designed this colonial rose garden with all the specimen roses they would have used then.
That's amazing.
You feel like you're back into, my patients say that, I mean, how can you be so upset when you're in another era? I have a technique, I just hold on. Okay. Now this wasn't here, Charlie, because remember I told you that the winding staircase had been removed and I recreated it and I beat it with chains. I actually did, got my like dominatrix side going, but because I had to make it look all beaten up, right? So and then I created this rail and the newel post exactly as it would have looked because it wasn't here. All right, so the colors, original. This is more federal up here. But what you'll see is it's very much a neighborhood tavern where they railroaded all the rooms. So let's come to this landing here. These were all bedrooms, just little bedrooms, you know, 4 to a bed. I love the view of the garden from up here through the wavy glass.
Oh, the wavy glass.
Right?
Look at that.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
This furniture is from my husband's family. This is a Louis XV commode with the original ormolu mounts. We brought it from France. And this cause is from the Burgundy region in France. And if you look at the feet, it's called pied à miche, because the French bread that was called miche is a very flat bread, so they called the feet after the shape of the bread. This came over in sections. It's pinned. And it was just like a deck of cards, and we just put it back together by repinning it. And when you come in here, this is going to be something you'll love to see. Look at the drift. That's what they call it, where the top of the door frame.
Yeah, I noticed that downstairs.
It's just the settling.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So old. This is my favorite one. And the look of the garden through that pane. So fun, right?
Yeah.
And again, all the furniture is from the period. Now this bedroom, I recreated the bed hangings as they would have been in the 1700s. Century kitchen.
Check back tomorrow for part 2 of our historic Hudson homes as Dr. Jamie Turndoff continues the tour with more interesting stories about the 1700s Killearn Tavern.
You know, we could take hours just touring, you know, the artifacts. Like this is a bed key. It's for tightening the ropes of a rope bed.
Oh, wow.
This was my husband's and my first bed. This is what we slept on for quite a few years.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, this bed.
Wow.
You don't go to bed mad in that bed. Dr. Hull says you can't go to bed mad. Okay.
And also shares some personal moments in her own life.
So, he fought the Pope and the Church, and he won. He got the divorce bill passed, changed the course of Italian history, and then soon after he left the Jesuit order and the priesthood, and he was recruited by Vassar. Now, meanwhile, I, from the time I was a little girl, had a vision of this man. I saw the man that would be my husband. So I just kept saying, I'll wait until he appears. Very unusual. So I always knew I was going to go to Vassar. It was my destiny pulling me to this man. So on the first day of my freshman year at Vassar, I'm shut out of all intro sociology, and the secretary says, go ask the department chair, Jean Pin, see if he can find a spot for you in one of the closed classes. So I walk in his office, and I have this outrageous out-of-body experience. I'm 18 years old, and I feel my soul shooting at high speed through a tunnel to the end of my life. Then my soul shoots back into my body, and I get this message, Remember every aspect of this meeting. He's going to be everything to you one day.